There is a problem people often run into in the audio community: the need to always upgrade. Audiophiles are chasing something really special, the ultimate sound. How good can I get recordings to be? In the hobby, we usually call this desire to pursue better and better audio quality chasing the dragon, and what it usually winds up boiling down to is people upgrading to more and more expensive gear in hopes that one day they can listen to the reverb fart sound effect in the finest detail possible. I have a few expensive high-end headphones and IEMs myself, and they sound awesome. I recently got myself a pair of Meze 109 Pros, which usually retail at about $800 US. Expect a review of these bad boys sometime in the coming months, by the way. These are my Hi-Fi Min Edition XS, a $500 planar magnetic headphone that's well regarded in the audio community as being a good budget option. Yeah, that's really telling about the hobby when $500 is considered a budget or mid-fi option, but that's still conventionally expensive. It really gives you an idea of how high the ceiling goes. Another downside of how expensive these are is I'm always worried about them breaking. But what if $500 is simply too much for people to spend and they want to listen for cheap and not have to worry about transporting them somewhere, and then they break in the front seat because you hit a pebble doing 45 miles per hour on the road while you were driving your mom's minivan? Yes, audiophile headphones can be fragile in addition to costing an arm and a leg. You'd think for $500, Hi-Fi Min would at least include a case, but they don't. Meze does though, so that's dope. Meze superiority! Are there headphones that sound great for cheap, or is this hobby exclusive to rich snobs who can afford this luxury? Well, good news! There are cheap headphones that sound great. Enter Koss. Koss is the king of making cheap headphones that have absolutely no business sounding as good as they do. It's really funny. I'll go on headphone forums and on Reddit and see people posting about discovering a pair of Koss headphones for the first time, and they'll talk about being blown away because their expectations were exceeded by such a huge amount, and people in the comments will just reply stuff like "Common Koss W" and "Koss moment." It's awesome. Perhaps the most famous headphone Koss makes is the Porta Pro. They've been around since the 80s, and for the longest time, they were the pair of headphones for people who wanted higher audio quality on the cheap. But I've got a few problems with the Porta Pro. They're built out of the cheapest plastic and feel nasty. It's like those cheap plastic toys that you win as prizes at Chuck E. Cheese. Speaking of cheese, we can't forget about the Koss cheese headphones. The actual best headphones at any price point. Don't laugh, I'm serious. Although, of course, I mean no offense to Mr. Charles Entertainment Cheese. He runs a fine establishment. They've also got this metal headband that I hate because it pulls out my hair, which hurts and sometimes makes me cry. Tuning-wise, they're substantially dark sounding with prominent mid-bass and treble that seems very subdued. As someone who likes a bit of sparkly sounding treble, I just don't vibe with that kind of tuning. Overall, they still sound conventionally good, but that recessed treble is a bit of a downside for me personally. The tuning on these is still good despite my preferences, and while they aren't anything special when it comes to their technical performance, they're still fairly competent. That being said, you can also order these Yaxi pads for them, which tones down the bass just a tad and increases the treble too without sacrificing much of that downward tuning, so keep that in mind. Also, if you want to buy these directly from Koss, they want $50 at MSRP, which for that kind of build quality is just not good value in my opinion. The Porta Pro was also a groundbreaking headphone when it launched, proving that you can have a great sound at an affordable price and a small, portable form factor. While I have my gripes with the Porta Pro, I can't deny its significance in the audiophile community. But my issues with the Porta Pro are pretty much fixed with the headphone I'm talking about today, the Koss KPH30i. I just want to get this out of the way. Before we talk about the build quality, I feel like I have to mention this. This headphone is $25 fucking dollars. You know what that means? I don't care about it. I can take it anywhere, and if it breaks, I don't feel like I have to file a fucking insurance claim. So, build quality. There's not really much to say about the build quality. It's plastic and it feels cheap, but that's okay because it is cheap and I don't mind. But compared to the Porta Pro, these are built much nicer. It's like we went from Chuck E. Cheese prize toys to substantially nicer Chuck E. Cheese toys. However, they're also super light, and hey, no metal headband. Instead, we get this rubber suspension strap, which I actually really like. They also have very thin pads. However, you can easily swap these for Yaxi pads, or if you're a mad lad like me, these gigantic pads that I originally got for my Grados. I will say though, despite being made of cheap plastic, they feel structurally pretty good. They don't feel like they're gonna fall apart at all, and this is a very well-designed cheap headphone. They even have this rubber bushing here so they can swivel a bit and fit your head. These are also open bag headphones, by the way, so please be aware of that. These are also super easy to power, so plug them into your phone or just whatever the hell you feel like plugging them into that has a headphone jack. They don't need an amplifier at all. It's also got a microphone, so you guys know what that means.
Hey, follow me on Twitch because I also do the stream thing. If you like the video, consider doing that. Oh!
Non-removable cable though, but at this price point, I don't really mind. This cable, also nicer than the Porta Pro cable, though it is still quite thin. But, you know, both Koss cables are still nicer than Grado cables, so there's that. Grado, fix your fucking cable. Comfort. Despite these being on-ear headphones, I actually find them quite comfortable, and really it's due to the fact that these weigh absolutely nothing. I personally don't mind the thinner pads on these because I barely notice them. That little suspension strap on the headband alleviates any and all pressure that these could possibly have. I normally don't care for on-ear headphones that much, but with these, I'm perfectly okay with that just because I never even noticed that I'm wearing them. Though, if you wanted to go the extra mile in making sure these fit like a dream to the point where it feels like you're wearing nothing at all, again, Yaxi pads exist, and many people claim that they changed the tuning for the better. However, I personally love the stock tuning on these. Speaking of, let's talk about sound quality. These have a very similar tuning to the Porta Pros with some notable improvements. These are still dark sounding with an overall downward tuning profile, but they're less boomy sounding than the Porta Pro while still having a punchy and live sounding mid-bass. There's a sub-bass roll-off at around 60 Hz, but I still find the bass on these to be very fun. Still a tad boomy at times, but overall, well done. Mid-range is also well presented, adhering very close to Critical's IEF neutral target, giving us just a little bit more around the 1 to 2K region, so vocals and lead instruments come through very well without sounding super forward. They just kind of sound like right where they should be. There is a dip right here at about 4K, and I'm not sure what that's about, but I personally find that I don't really notice it. I describe the treble on the KPH30i as being smooth. You get significantly more of it than you do on the Porta Pros, but it is by not any means bright. Sibilant sounds like cymbals, S and Ts don't come across sounding harsh or piercing at all. Though, if you are a treble head, you may be disappointed by these. Again, they still sound quite dark, but I do get more of a splashy sounding cymbal and more breathy vocals than I do on the Porta Pro. Tuning-wise, I think these are great. Technical performance on these are nothing special. They have a little bit of instrument separation, but not a whole lot. As for their imaging, they sound as though they have a tiny bit of forward and back, but you can't really get the sense that you can point to any specific spot and know where that instrument is coming from. But still, it's a lot more than I expected. Though they are fairly lacking in information and detail retrieval, they are better at it than most wireless Bluetooth earbuds that cost way more. Instruments just sound very correct, and while they don't give the sense that you're sitting in a room listening to instruments and they just kind of sound like headphones, they sound like really nice headphones. But all their technical faults are irrelevant when I get into the next part. Do I recommend it? Yes, because it's only $25 fucking dollars. I can forgive all its flaws for being objectively an amazing value. Even if the technical performance isn't the best, it's still competent and the tuning is excellent. At 25 bucks, it's a no-brainer. Just buy it. For the price of a little over 2 meals at McDonald's, you're getting really, really good tuning. Oh yeah, Koss also has the lifetime warranty for all of their products, meaning you can literally have these headphones for the rest of your life, which is, as the streamers say, poggers. Koss has been an innovator in the audio space ever since their founding in the 50s, and they're still being made in Milwaukee, Wisconsin today, which, you know, that explains the cheese phones. And I have to admit, they're keeping that legacy alive with the KPH30i. Okay, video's over. If you liked the video, fucking subscribe, or don't. I'm not gonna tell you what to do with your life.